Hello, people, and welcome back to the Tech of Tomorrow podcast with Sebastian Hidalgo. I am Sebastian Hidalgo, your host, who today is bringing you something truly great. But before we get there, let's talk about housekeeping notes. You should, if you want to, if you may, it costs you nothing. Please like, subscribe, follow if you are on Spotify or Amazon or wherever you listen to the podcast. And I don't know where I'll post this, so I've been late with some episodes, so I apologize for that. Business has been keeping me busy. And with that said, let's move on to our guest. Our guest today is calling him a friend is just demeaning to our relationship. It's just great. So let's call him a friend, but it's really beyond that. This guy is a world-class designer. He's delivered projects for like David Guetta, Fender, Gibson, all the cool brands that you've seen out there doing cool things. His name is Chad Jordan, and he will be here today to talk about some of the things he's been doing with AI, which are pretty extraordinary, and a bunch of other things that will probably come out spontaneously. So, hello, Chad, and welcome to the show.
Hey Sebastian, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing, doing better now that I see you, and now that I get to be home after 5 days of working for 10 hours a day. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing really, really well. Getting over a cold, but I'm on the upside of that, so it's all good.
You sound pretty fine, no worries.
Good.
So, listen, I laid out a lot about you with the intro. So, I'll start with how did you get into design?
Oh, geez. I've always, like, from a young age, really just liked to make things look good. Whatever it was. Like, my wife teases me, like, I put things out when we're checking out at the grocery store, and I'm like putting them on the belt and they're all like perfectly aligned and like um so it's just like an innate thing and it made sense. I was working at a production company and we had a sister company that was a design firm, and I wanted to kind of make the transition. And like, I'm not formally trained. I'm completely self-taught. So I talked my way into a job, had no idea how to use any of the software, and was going to start there in like 2 weeks. So I had a 2 week crash course to learn how to use Quark Express. And this was pre like InDesign and like everything. So yeah, taught myself and then just kind of like worked my way up from there. And like you said, like I've been, it's been great for me. I've been able to travel and uh, use those design skills to kind of move around the country and get to experience a lot of different things and meet some incredibly talented people and work with, like, some amazing, amazing talent. So it's been a blessing for me.
It sure sounds like it. I was just looking at your t-shirt, and people can find the story of Jack by going to the Just Be Jack website. But would you like to tell us that on air? Because I like to document that. The Jack thing is pretty funny, and it's
Yeah, it's funny. So everybody always asks, and it's a great name because it prompts so many questions. So as you said, my name is Chad, and uh, so when they see that like I have a design website that's Just Be Jack, they're like, "What the hell?" So I was in Mexico with a friend, and uh, we were checking into a hotel, and I go to the counter, and we're checking in, and the gentleman behind the counter asked what my name was, and I told him Chad, and he's like, Jack, and I said, no, Chad. And so this continued back and forth for like 3 or 4 times, and finally my friend that was with me was like, dude, just be Jack. And it's a great branding story because your brand is who other people think you are, not who you think you are. And it's a great lesson that, you give them what they want. And so I was Jack, and that that got us into the hotel. So
I love it because it's a weight gray of telling something, saying something complicated, which is your brand lives in the heads of people. No matter, like, it's your reputation in the end. So yes, you can somehow affect it, but still, you have to go through the filter of somebody's brain. So for one day, you were Jack, and that's what you needed to be to get into the hotel. So just be Jack.
yeah. Well, and it's like you want to reduce the friction level, right? Like you want, um, like for some reason it wasn't clicking for him. So, you reduce the friction and, let him be be yourself, but like, you know, align to what your audience is looking for. So,
Love it. How has, you know, design from where you started, I bet has changed a lot.
oh
How has
my God,
design
yeah.
changed though since, let's say, 2010 and now? How different is your job?
2010. Where the hell was I in 2010? Um, that would have been, let's see. I either would have been in Phoenix or in LA. Um, I think that was like in the heights of the Sprouts rebrand, um, which was, a fascinating learning experience. So they don't have Sprouts in Europe, but in the United States, it started out as this small, like regional, like smaller version of like Whole Foods. And when we were brought on, they were probably 40 stores. But they had a vision. They wanted to go public. And they knew they needed to elevate their brand in order to um, have an identity that matched that of a company that was going national and going public. So they were a lot of clip art. Like they had the worst logo on the planet. It was a nightmare to print. It was just tragic. So there was a team of us that were brought in, and we basically rebuilt everything except for the logo. They wouldn't let us touch the logo. Um, and we fought and fought and fought to redo that logo, and they would not allow us to do it. They have since scrapped that logo, and they have a much better one now. But we did in store. We redesigned the look of the stores. Um, the all the marketing materials, all the like new store packages, their website, which was Flash at the time. So if you could imagine like an e-commerce site in Flash, it was terrible. Took forever to load, and but now I think they went public probably 5 or 6 years ago. They've got over 300 stores, I think, across the U.S. And so yeah, it's changed quite a bit in the last 15 years. Hard to believe that was 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. The time is going by too fast. I think there's something weird there, especially this year.
Yeah,
I don't know if you noticed, but we're in June. I remember clearly the first day of the year.
I know.
It's insane.
Yep. Well, I think you and I first started talking like over 2 years ago,
Yes,
and I can't believe that it's been that long. It may be even longer than that.
it could be 2.5, or I wouldn't say three, but we might be approaching the third year that we know each.
Yeah, we might be.
It's crazy. And among the things that have changed in these last 3 years, one of them is AI. And you're a designer,
Yes.
so there is this whole panic in marketing, in design, about AI replacing people. How do you see that?
Um, I'm sure that it will replace some. Um, I think, very much like I think it all depends on how you look at it. And clients look at it one way, uh, the agencies look at it as another way. Um, I have clients that think that it's the end all be all. And and I think it's definitely not. Um, because it's only as good as the person that's using it right now. That doesn't mean that down the road it's not going to be able to be better than whoever's prompting it and whoever is kind of like steering the ship. But like right now, there's so many questions, and I think if you are like a small business that like needs assets, like you can certainly um, you know, create things to use. It still looks like AI. It still sounds like AI. Um, if you've got a talented person that is kind of steering the direction in conjunction with the AI, I think there's, ways that you can move around that. But again, like as it is right now, it's still a tool. Like it's no different than Photoshop. I mean, it's way more powerful, but it is a tool. It's Figma, it's Photoshop, it's InDesign, and so, and I also think that there's going to be, you know, a whole market that's created out of anti-AI, um, where it's, I think it's going to be hard to be 100% no AI like in the future because I think it's being integrated into everything. Um, and you see that with like Google and like some of these other things where everything is being put in. But I think there's, as with everything, like there's different levels of like people that know. Everybody said Canva was going to go in and like you know revolutionize design because it made everybody a designer. I got news for you. It doesn't make everybody a designer. It may give you templates and let you make things, but that's not truly what a designer is. Um, so I think it's gonna certainly broaden the field, give people access to certain things, but um, true designers that solve problems and like I do design, but that's not what I get paid for. Like I get paid to think differently and figure out gaps in the market and you know what's the best possible use for um, this particular thing that a client's trying to solve for. Um, so those kind of things, I think, you know, if you're talented and you're multi-skilled, like you're going to be fine. You just need to find like where it all fits together and use the tools that are out there.
Design just gets overlooked because the output is visual, right? And it used to
Yeah,
be like the mastercraft when nobody knew how to do those things. Now that producing visuals is at the at, at the reach of anybody, it looks like designers are going to get replaced. But you're right, designers are ultimately strategists or problem solvers at the very least. They are
yep,
business strategists that just happen to have a great skill set that translates to great visuals.
right. Well, and you can see, like you can look and you can tell because somebody that's like, and this happens with designers too, like young, like fresh out of school, like, and I know I'm painting with a broad brush, but like when you're starting out, like you have all these new things and you want to use them all, right? And so a lot of stuff is over designed, but a good seasoned designer, like, is stripping things away instead of adding things to it. It's like, what's the most effective way to do this with the least amount of friction? And because like you're trying to grease the wheels and get from where you are to where you're going. And, usually the best way to do that is to make it as simple as possible. And the only way to do that is by stripping things away, addition by subtraction. And um, so you can tell like a really well executed campaign because it's simple and it communicates something in a very clear, direct way. Um, and that's how you should be approaching all of your projects is what can you take away, not like what do you need to add.
I love that. I was bringing up the AI thing because, I mean, we might as well get into it right now. The reason why we wanted to have you in in this episode is the Go Bigger protocol. For the people listening, the Go Bigger protocol is probably the most life-changing thing you will ever try that is aided by AI. And he's laughing, but it's true because there is a difference. There is a spectrum where you find discipline, motivation, and purpose. Let's put it this way: before running the Go Bigger protocol, I was extremely high in discipline and motivation. However, there was always this feeling that I was running circles my whole career in the last 10 to 12 years, that I was running circles around something. And I couldn't tell what that was. And I also, because of the nature of the things we do, I didn't have the time to sit down and think about what it actually is and figure it out. Until I don't know how long ago, but not long ago, Chad comes to me with the Go Bigger protocol. And it is, I call it a purpose machine, meaning if there's something you are thinking about that could be bigger, something that you dream about and whose potential you don't know, then the Go Bigger protocol will 10x it and show you a version of a future reality that you cannot even conceive. So that's the long premise to ask you, Chad. First of all, in a few words, how would you describe the Go Bigger protocol? And then how did you get to develop it? How did you reach that place where you could develop that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's I really appreciate the glowing like review of it. And um so how would I describe it? It's certainly unique. It is, it allows you to see things that your current circumstances don't allow you to see. Like the way that your brain works, um, you it's hard to see the next level, right? Because you're focused on what's going on in your life right now. And um, so developing it, I was trying to figure out a way. So, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So I remember reading about it. And one of the things that really stuck out was like, if you're at whatever level you are, like being able to see the next level because you're still stuck in the needs of the current level is nearly impossible. Like you can't, it's there, you can feel it in your chest, like it's this like ache, and that like there's something more, but you can't like touch it and you can't see it. So what I was trying to do is figure out a way to see things that I couldn't see. And it was a lot of like trial and error, but it occurred to me that so the AI, and like mine is very well developed because I use it constantly. So it's almost like a second brain for me. Um, but it isn't controlled by my limiting beliefs and like my sightlines. So I created this protocol to, well, we created this protocol um, to be able to access my chat history or anybody's chat history, which is what makes this so powerful, is that it has that entire data set of my thinking, my goals, all the things that I'm working on, random usings of like rabbit holes that I go down, and it has that entire data set to pull from. And it looks at patterns, it looks at blind spots, which is a huge one. And it takes all these things and it's like, okay, if I'm working on a certain project and I want to know like what is the compound effect of all this? Like what is the exponential factor that could make this something that I wouldn't even be able to consider right now? And you run this protocol and the output is amazing because it's pulling from your data set. It's written in a way that it gives it back to you in your own voice, in your own language. So it removes that barrier that you get with a lot of coaches and with a lot of, you know, advice that you get is like your brain's resistant to it because it's telling you what to do. With this, it's your voice, your language giving you this information back. And you're like, oh shit. It's like a letter that was written directly to you from you. And um and then the real power, like this is great. The real power is the second layer of questions. Um, Taking that output and challenging it and being like, well, what if we did this instead of this? And like, what if you ran the Go Bigger protocol against this one little data set that we just uncovered and you grow it exponentially? Um, and I think you've experienced that with some of the things you're working on. So, so that's my long-winded like explanation of where it came from and what it is.
That's a that's a key point there because the first time you guided me into running it, I ran it and it took what I was doing and it expanded to a certain degree. And it already was impressive. But then you told me, ask it to apply the protocol to the output of the protocol. So we applied that. And after two iterations, I think that's when I found purpose. After two iterations, what it had come up with was so big, it was almost scary, which is when you know it's the right thing, right? Like I read
Absolutely.
that thing and I was like, okay, this sounds like me. This sounds exactly like something I've been wanting to do my entire life that I couldn't quite put my finger on. But it is so big that I'm afraid that we'll never get there. And I think that's when you know you found something special.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the you can say, okay, this is I love this idea. How do we get there? Let's reverse engineer this. And it it breaks it down in a way that I mean, even things that are like stupid crazy and like I've pushed some things out there um and it broke down the steps to get there in such a digestible way that I was like, "Oh yeah, I can do this." Like the and I don't know how much of this is public knowledge, but I know what you're working on and like it's not a humble achievement by any stretch. But I think like knowing you and also like the scale of what it is, like I think it's completely doable.
Yes. After sitting on it for like a couple months now, I do think it's doable. It is, and that's the thing. And this just came to mind to me. Something good about the protocol is that it will have you thinking more strategically and in a more patient way, because if you upscale the outputs to that degree, you will notice that, okay, you're starting to get into decades thinking. So
Right.
what I'm working on is now I'm 30, so I would say it's probably a 40 to 50-year plan. But that's why I call it a purpose machine, because if there's something that you're working on for the next 50 years, that that fills you with purpose because it's a massive goal. Now, the beautiful thing is like, okay, as big as it is still doable, but it also has to reverse engineer it, which gives you that peace of mind and that patience, because you're like, okay, that's the goal. It looks crazy now. It will be difficult, but this is step one. And I can focus on step one for the next year. And that's perfectly doable by anyone, because step one, for the people that run the protocol, will not, you will notice that step one is perfect, is in reality, is grounded in the now. It's nothing that you cannot achieve. You just need to pull it off at the best of your possibilities and see how that turns out, that guides you into step two.
Yeah, and it's the like you talk about this like 10-year goal. But there's huge milestones for you along the way. So it's not like you're not going to have like huge, massive successes between now and then. Like you don't you don't get to the mountaintop without like having an amazing journey getting there. And like there's going to be some places where you can turn around and look at the view and be like, holy shit. Um, like I don't want it to sound like everything is like this far off
True.
thing. Um,
And that's
like
the beauty of it.
you're
It gets divided into these stages, and each stage comes with its own things that you even think, even in my case, like right now, the thing that I can't reveal that I'm working on is taking my sales methodology, the SWOT method, and turning it into something that competes with Challenger and Sandler and the other ones. Once, even half of that, once I see 5,000 people trained on the methodology and using it successfully, that's already a place where you stop and you say, wow, we made it till here. That's crazy. Like all the intermediate steps that take you to the big goal they are what many other people would consider already an insane goal. So it's great. It
yeah.
gives you, as you said, it's very important to specify that. It's not like, okay, it just puts you into this, I'm never present and I'm always longing for something perspective. It has you working on things that will pay off because they are perfectly doable. And after they pay off, you will be extremely satisfied that even that one step did pay off.
Yeah. And I think while all of this is fantastic and like uh incredible benefit, the most valuable thing of the protocol and having had it run by, I don't know, 10, 15 people now, with like ridiculous results, it changes you. Like, because the language is given back to you in your own language, so one of the problems with courses and coaches, and I'm not anti-coach. I think if you're ready, a good coach is great. Um, but it's like adoption of those things. And so you'll like start a course and you'll be all excited, and then like it just kind of peters out. Like you get halfway through, and because it relies on your own motivation and your own like discipline to get there. And with coaches, they're telling you what to do, right? And how this is different is this doesn't tell you what to do. It gives you a map based on who you are. So it's like a mirror. And um, because of the way that it's built and how easy it is to integrate into your own GPT, like this isn't like a separate thing that So you integrate it into your GPT. So as you're running it from now on, like this is always in your history. So it's always looking for ways to um, uh, collapse timeframes on your goal as you like accomplish things, or you're working on other projects, or it's like, oh, this makes sense here, and you can like integrate it all. So it creates this like frictionless environment where um, you're not like adding another app, or you're not like adding all these like other things that are going to take away from your focus. This kind of strips the stuff out that you don't need and allows you to actually focus on, where you're going. Um, but the side benefit, which is in my mind the bigger benefit, is that it changes you as a person. Like how I was saying, I wanted to be able to see things that I couldn't see. Well, this has changed my entire worldview because it's now shown me things that are possible that I couldn't see before. So now I'm seeing all these great opportunities, and I'm also open to even bigger opportunities. So, and this is a natural byproduct of like having these kind of like blinders taken off. And I can see it with you as well. Like, um, you know, we had talked about certain things and you're like, oh, that didn't really occur to me. But now it's like, oh, well, that makes total sense. And I see that on the horizon. And where before, like, you wouldn't necessarily have like had that like show up for you.
Yes, and a lot of people, something that plays into this, a great segue to take here is talking about like imposter syndrome, right? All of us have more, you and me, anybody listening, we all have moments where we doubt ourselves. Or we all have things about ourselves that we know and we take for granted, and we take them for granted because they've been with us for a while. So, for example, I was using the Go Bigger protocol chat on ChatGPT to 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 put a price tag. Not that I want to sell it, but to put a price tag, to put a value in on the SWOT methodology as a sales methodology. And I suggested one number, and I think we talked about this, right? I suggested one number,
Mm-hmm.
and the protocol went, no, this is the number, and it just was like 3 times as much. And for a moment, I had this massive discomfort in me because how is it that big? Because it does, and because in my mind, it's just this. This knowledge has been with me for the last 8 to 10 years. So it's been part of me so long that I just take it for granted. And the
Yeah.
protocol, then I ask it to explain why, and the protocol elaborates on why that type of intellectual property that's behind the methodology is actually basically priceless and therefore extremely valuable because of how small the number of people is that have it on the planet. And once it reframed it that way, it completely circumvented my inner voice. And I was like, that must makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great at pulling again, like I keep going back to this, like the value of your data set. Like one of the things that makes that data set so valuable is that you aren't filtered. Like you're not like, oh, somebody's going to read this. It's your truth in the moment that you think is completely private. That's a whole nother topic, whether it is or not. But like, I know some of the questions that I ask are like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Like, I'm thinking this is a good idea. Like, it's those kind of inner thoughts and um and patterns that it can recognize that like are so incredibly valuable because it's really at the core of who you are. Like you're not editing it down because somebody's going to read it on Twitter, or you're writing a LinkedIn post or something like that. Like this is your raw thoughts. And um, so if you're trying, like you talk about it as a purpose machine, like if you ran it against your public Twitter, LinkedIn, like whatever, it's going to have a different view than if it's pulling its data from like your raw thoughts and emotions. And that's why it's so incredibly powerful because um, you just plug it in, like, and it, like, it's there. Like, once you've used it, like, it's there and you can, and it works for anything. Like, I ran it against like some really random, um, like, not business case things. Like, I'm a single mother of three and I'm working two jobs and I don't feel like I can like make ends meet and um I need a plan to be able to breathe. And I ran it against that scenario and the output was stunning. Um like it works, it's not just a business use case.
Yes, I agree. I think you can use it to be, I don't know, a better parent, a better brother, a better friend. You run it. Let's say that it don't happen. So let's say that you argued with a friend and you run it against that because it's not one argument that you can solve easily. So you fear the relationship is broken. Like the most common use case ever. It's like there is a relationship in your life that seems to be at stakes, at a turning point. You run the protocol against it, and it will feed you a perspective based on your perspective that you didn't see coming and you weren't considering. So you can apply it to, yes, pretty much anything.
Yeah.
How now, for a while before this conversation, I often thought like, okay, this would be great as its own thing, right? But now hearing you speak, I see the value being intrinsically connected to the fact that is the protocol runs in a environment where you also put all your thoughts. Just what makes it great that you can put it into ChatGPT or whatever is your favorite LLM,
Mhm.
the one you use more often. How do you see, like, have you run the protocol against the protocol to tell you about the future of the protocol? How do you send it to more people? What's next?
Yeah, so there's there's a bunch of different like applications that I'm working on. One thing that I was working on yesterday that I implemented for myself because I always test everything on myself. I'm the ultimate guinea pig, and it was really freaking cool. Like, so you know how like you have a fitness tracker, right? That tells you how many steps you walked and like how many times you've stood up today and um so what if you had like a fitness tracker for your mind? Like, so we were going in yesterday and we created this, I don't remember what we called it, but it runs in the background all the time. And this is what really blew my mind yesterday is that once I set it in motion, it tracks um, like pivot points and where it recognizes that your language has shifted from like, hey, what do you think about this to, okay, I'm doing this. And so it like recognizes those shifts in direction or pattern or language. Um, and it will on its own prompt you that you just hit a milestone. Like you've made a shift in this direction and it has like a calibration scorecard and um, like a signal scorecard. Like signal in my world, like you'll read a lot about that, is like the truest version of yourself. Like before, you know, people told you you weren't worthy and like you didn't have all these like preconceived notions about the world. So a lot of what the work that I do is trying to get back to that signal and make it as that frequency, be in that frequency as much as possible throughout the day. So this is kind of like a frequency signal tracker. And so there were like 3 times yesterday that I was doing something and it just like stopped what we were doing, and it numbers them like journal entries. So I think I'm on like number 4 now. Um, and we just kind of put this in place yesterday and it was like, hey, you just did this. And it recognizes things that I don't even recognize. And it was pretty cool. Um, so I have all kinds of like things that I'm working on. There's a bunch of like kind of like intro level things that are on the website currently that you can download. There's a visibility protocol, which is really to kind of give you a taste of how this works. Um, and it kind of like recognizes blind spots in like things that you're working. Um, One of the challenges, I had given this to my wife to play around with, but she doesn't use like ChatGPT much at all, so she doesn't have a big data set.
Mhm.
So to me, I'm like, okay, how do we get around that? So I created like a get to know you protocol, which is like 5 steps. You answer like 5 basic questions, and it creates like an intro data set where it can start like building on that and like giving you insights. Um, so that's not up on the website yet, but that will be soon. So yeah, there's a bunch of like things in the works. Um, but the great thing you asked about, like what's next for the Go Bigger protocol, is that like you kind of decide what the ceiling is, right? Like you found something that felt purposeful to you, but you could still run the protocol against that and make it even bigger.
Uh,
So
I do that out of
you've
curiosity.
created the ceiling.
I'm almost scared of looking into that. Now I'm curious.
Yeah. So you kind of determine what the ceiling is, where it goes. And look, and not everybody wants to uh, you know, have world domination in their like, you know, purview. Like I want to spend time with my wife and my daughter and my dogs, and um, I want to enjoy the ride. So like I want to help as many people to do the same thing and see things that they haven't been able to see. And that's a big enough worldview for me. Like I don't want to create a 1 billion-dollar company and all these other things. So
Even if it never becomes a billion-dollar company, I want more people to use this though. I
yeah,
think
well,
I
I
think it,
agree. I think it would be, you know, even God, I could think of applications for like high school students. You know,
yes,
I'm not sure what I want to do. Like
exactly. A
there's
student unsure about their future, I know somebody recovering from addiction, like it can apply to literally any human moment in life where you would value an external perspective that gets you out of a situation, helps you improve a situation, and it helps you improve yourself. That's why I want like a lot of people to try this.
yeah, I think the number of applications is unlimited, and I think you are a testament to like putting it to good use, um and I think you were kind of thought I was crazy when I first initially gave it to you. um
Maybe. I mean, it was so big that it
but
was like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean it the one thing it will do is it will shatter your worldview and make you realize that like there's so much out there. And the premise of all the work that I'm doing is like you have everything you need. Like everybody does. Like we limit our own power, we limit our own like ability to do anything or like different things based on like what people have told us or what they think their ceiling is. But the reality is that like we have everything that we need, and this just helps you see it.
I like that because it's true. We put limits on ourselves, and the protocol, because of where it gets data from, and because in the end, as you say, it's a tool, right? ChatGPT is any LLM is a tool. It will not have any bias. It will not have an opinion of you. It will just sweep through the facts, see what you're thinking, and say, "Hey, these are the options." It's
Yeah,
unbiased. That's what makes it great. It doesn't have an opinion. It will not push you in any direction. It's like looking into a mirror to some extent.
it's absolutely what it is.
Well,
Although I would say that even you looking into a mirror, you have your own biases.
yes,
Like
absolutely.
this is a mirror without limiting beliefs.
Like it. A mirror without limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
How are you distributing it? Like, who's getting it right now?
So initially I had sent it out to a bunch of friends, colleagues, like I wanted to, basically create my own little test group. Um, and I can't even I can't even begin. Well, I mean, you've run it and you know other people that have run it and the results and the, clarity that they've gotten from it. Um, it just have, it blew me away. But so I have a website, runtheprotocol.com, that has a bunch of information. It has some of the more intro level things that we've talked about that are available on there. There's also the the full protocol set where you download an intake PDF, you load it in your GPT, and you don't even have to answer any questions. Like the questions are pre-built. The GPT instructions will go through, pull the answers from all of your entire data set. You send back a link, and I create an entire output report um, and send it back to you. And then you can just load that output report into your GPT and then go crazy. Challenge it. I have some aftershock questions that you can run against the output to challenge different things. Because as we mentioned earlier, like the output report is fantastic. Even the intake, like the output that your GPT gives from the intake is incredibly valuable. But then it's like the compounding effect of, you know, the output protocol that I run it against, and then being able to go in and like challenge the result. Um, and by challenge, I mean like give me evidence to prove this point of view, or um, like there's different ways that you can go through and evaluate the credibility of the report. And but yeah, it'll blow your mind.
It'll blow your mind. I also I took the intake questionnaire after I ran the protocol because I've been a guinea pig for the development too. And even the intake questionnaire taken after the fact was pretty impressive because it also contains some insights that I hadn't thought about.
Yeah, and one of our mutual friends that ran the intake took 7 pages of notes. just off the intake and before I ran the protocol for him. Um, and it's look, I think, and everybody that's listening to this will be able to relate to this. Like, there's things that we think that like we don't say out loud because it's too big, it's too bold, it's too, I don't know, scares the shit out of us. This will say it out loud for you. And that, like, that ache you have in your chest, that, like, I know there's something more. I don't know how to get there, but it's driving me fucking nuts
Mhm.
because it's like, it's just there. Um, this doesn't get rid of it. Like, honestly, nothing gets rid of it because, you know, but it changes it. It changes it from an ache to a drive to like a motivating force. And um yeah, like I mean, it provides incredible insights, but again, like they're insights that are already in you. Like it just brings them out. It's not telling you anything that isn't already there for you.
Yes, you have that ache, you have that longing, you know that there's something more that you could do, that you want to do. You don't know what it is. And what it does is it turns it from an ache into a target. So it doesn't get rid of it at all. If anything, you'll want it tenfold more after you read what the protocol puts out. But it's the feeling of, I cannot even describe the feeling of having something that you know that there's something more, but you don't see it and can figure it out, and then you can put your finger on it. There is something to that epiphany that I cannot put into words.
Yeah, it's well, and for me, like one of the most like rewarding parts is like when you send me a message and you're like, holy shit, like I can't even believe what this just uncovered. Like I remember that entire like exchange and um I mean that to me is exactly why I'm doing this because like I've been incredibly lucky to be able to work with like some really, really amazing, talented people. And um, you always want to like you hear people say, like, I wish I could believe in myself the way these other people believe in me. Well, this shows you a way to do that. Like it strips all the like distortion away. And yeah, I mean, oh, here's another really fun little thing that you can do. Um, if you've got a pretty decent data set in your chat GPT, ask it to write you a letter to yourself from your future self. So from
Oh,
like 5 years in the future, write a letter to yourself of what you wish I knew now from 5 years in the future. That's a great little fun experiment.
I'm writing that down because I'm doing that today.
Yeah, it's it's pretty cool.
I mean, knowing the protocol, I don't know. It's one of those things I don't know if I'm ready for. Uh, I love it though. Listen, it is a remarkable product. I know it's not a product. I don't know how to call it. It is a remarkable solution. It's and people, some people will take the protocol and start treating probably as their coach, and they will say, "Doesn't this replace coaches?" It doesn't. If anything, if you have a coach, if a coach gives you the protocol, or if you give to the coach the output of the protocol, they will make you so much more effective at achieving those things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly not. I mean, the protocol itself, it's not therapy, it's not coaching, it's not like a course. Like the best way that I can describe it, it's like lighting a match in a dark room, and all of a sudden you can see. Like that is the simplest, most um, direct way to kind of explain like what it is and how it works is that you're in a completely dark room, you strike a match, and then like you can see everything around you. And that's what it does.
That's a great way to describe it. I love it. Listen, chat, coming closer to the top of the hour. So we're gonna wrap it up here. I love this episode. Cannot wait to publish it. You mentioned you have a new website that you recently updated with a bunch of useful things, runtheprotocol.com. If
Yep.
somebody wants to talk to you and explore the protocol, where can they reach you?
They can contact me through the website. They find me on Twitter under my name. It's Chad Jordan. Um, they can email me at chad@runtheprotocol.com. Um, I'm easily accessible. I talk to everybody. I think, networking is the most valuable currency we have. So, um, yeah, don't hesitate to reach out.
Do reach out, and even if you don't reach out, go to runtheprotocol.com and give it a try. Trust me, after you give it a try, you're gonna be reaching out to him. Because I did. I did. And Chad, thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
This was great. People, this was the Take of Tomorrow podcast with Sebastian Hidalgo. I am Sebastian Hidalgo. Subscribe, follow, like, leave a comment, share with somebody who wants to achieve great goals or who you think has great potential that isn't developing it. Share this episode, get them into the protocol, and watch them freaking transform mentally. That's it. This was a great episode. Thank you, Chad.